Sushmita. I hope you are doing well. Let's begin the session. In our previous session, you have learned about the American civil rights movement and human rights movements of the USSR and the movement against nuclear weapons. Today, we shall look into some more important human rights and environmental movements. In today's session, we are going to learn about the Greenpeace movement and Bhopal gas disaster. Let's see the topic. Learning outcomes. At the end of this session, you will be able to understand about globalization, marginalized people, and environmental movements. Greenpeace movement in Europe. Bhopal gas disaster related movements. Keywords. Globalization, a term used to describe how trade and technology have made the world into a more connected and interdependent place. Compensation, something, typically money, awarded to someone in recognition of lost suffering or injury. Marginalize, to treat a person, group, or concept as insignificant or peripheral. Neoliberalism, a political and economic philosophy that emphasizes free trade, deregulation, globalization through privatization, and a reduction in government spending. Vulnerable, getting exposed to the possibility of being attacked or harmed, either physically or emotionally. Depletion, reduction in the number or quantity of something. Submergence, sinking until getting covered completely with water. Displacement, the action of moving something from its place or position. Erratic, not even or regular in pattern or movement, unpredictable. Concept map. Globalization, marginalized people, and environmental movements. Since the 1990s, globalization and neoliberalism have significantly impacted the lives of the poor and the underprivileged. The main group of people affected by this were the tribal people, poor farmers, landless workers, women, urban poor, and industrial workers. Majority of these groups do not have access to formal education, adequate nutrition, and health care provisions, leading to limited opportunities for better paying jobs and legal or constitutional remedies. Over the past few decades, the tribal and marginal farmers have faced threats from commercial farmers, mining corporations, and dam projects. These companies have exploited rare resources in remote, rural areas, leading to the displacement of the farming and tribal populations, dispersing communities, and destroying tribal cultures. This has resulted in the marginalized communities being the most vulnerable sections of society. Along with this, such processes of development have severely threatened the natural resource base, giving rise to environmental movements. These movements started fighting for the marginalized people along with expressing their anger over the violent and destructive nature of these development forces. Greenpeace movement in Europe. The Greenpeace movement began in 1971 against American underwater nuclear tests near Alaska. The volunteers set out in a small ship named Greenpeace to protest the test. Currently, Greenpeace is an international non-governmental organization headquarters in Amsterdam, and it has spread across 40 countries. During the last few decades, scientists have discovered that pollution is causing the depletion of the ozone layer in the atmosphere, which absorbs harmful sun rays. This is leading to an increase in the Earth's average temperature, melting the polar ice caps, increasing ocean water levels, causing land submergence areas worldwide. Countries like Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, India, and Indonesia, where many people live along the sea coast, will face severe flooding and submergence problems. Global warming will also cause erratic rainfall, crop failure, and droughts, affecting those living deep inside continents. This impacts countries whose population heavily relies on agriculture. Greenpeace addresses climate change impacts in various countries, aiming to ensure Earth's ability to nurture life in diversity. Over time, the movement developed the idea of sustainable development, that is environmentally sustainable over a long period of time, and also good for all people from both of the developed and the undeveloped world. Bhopal gas disaster related movements. In 1984, a poisonous gas leak from the Union Carbide factory in Bhopal resulted in thousands of deaths and ongoing suffering. The disaster was considered the worst industrial disaster globally. The Union Carbide factory was later purchased by Dow Company, USA. The people of Bhopal have been demanding proper medical treatment, compensation based on international standard, as the company was a multinational company. fixing criminal responsibility for the disaster on the multinational companies' management, and steps to prevent future disasters. The people have succeeded to some extent, but there is still a long way before they can claim to have achieved all the major demands. Though huge sums have been spent on setting up medical facilities in Bhopal, the victims are still suffering from its effects. Compensation have not been paid as per international standards, and that too not properly to all the affected people. The government has failed to prosecute and punish the management of the company for its negligence, which led to the accident. Despite better laws, there is still a lack of a proper policy or impartial inspection mechanism to eliminate the possibility of future disasters. Protests against the company have been complex, especially since it was based in the USA. Hence, people need to use international laws to fight for the factory workers and women affected by pollution caused by the company. Even today, global boycotts and social mobilization continue against the company. When the Dow Company sponsored the Olympics in London, people from around the world protested, and multiple organizations worldwide pointed out the unethical alliance between the Olympic body and Dow. We will be taking about the rest of the movements in part 3.